Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. That means, as always, we have MLW Fusion taking place, of course. We have the MLW World Tag Team titles on the line in a tables match, of course. The feud between Second Gear Crew and, of course, the Calling as taking into a high turning point. As you know, they hate each other, but it's becoming exciting. And of course, right now, interesting developments. As you know, Alex Kane, who is determining to be the guy who runs MLW. It appears he has two potential competitors. One of them is, of course, none other than the man who claims that he's there to save MLW, Matt Cardona. And then, of course, we have the Samoan werewolf, of course, Jacob Fatu. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that. Of course, Impact Wrestling, as you know, recently they went to a UK tour doing an invasion there. They just featured some matches from their Gas Glow show in Scotland, UK, which really was fun to watch. And of course, Ring of Honor, we have featured some matches. The main event featuring the rematch between both Athena and Mercedes Martinez and all this other stuff. But first things first, across the Pacific in Japan. As you know, we're now in the Super Junior Tag League in day 9. This is where right now we find out who will be in the finals for this coming Saturday. Only 5 teams, on the other hand, are tied. Only one team is currently in the lead, but the obvious question is, can they hold on in order to get to the finals? Well, we just got to wait and see and find out. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. And of course, we have some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, any wrestlers that either been signed or departing from any promotion. We even can also follow any injured wrestlers and various other things. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where wrestling is not as big, but it is growing. We also do some discussion videos to talk various topics about wrestlers, the promotions, storylines, and whatnot. We also do more news updates in case we don't put anything in this particular episode. And of course, real timing news updates alert and various other cool things. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews from us and of course other cool stuff we do on this channel. But if you like this episode, please click on the like button or leave us a nice comment down below. So let's get started with our very first review, and this one is from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, as you know, we are in the middle, we just almost concluding who is going to go to the finals of the Super Junior Tag League in Power Struggle this coming Saturday or so. So our first match, well, kind of figured these guys are out regardless. We have Just Five Guys, Taka Michinoku, and Doiki taking on DKC and Taguchi. Now, these two teams, they had nowhere to go, so they had to start from the very beginning. But it was a pretty good match, nonetheless. I mean, I know that Just Five Guys did not have a good track record in the entire time, but they were able to finish the tournament in 4 points with just 2 wins. When they applied this suplex decay onto DKC by Doiki, and it was over right from there. So both teams are officially out of the tournament. Our next match, we have Masushi and Yo taking on LIJ, Titan, and Bushi. Now, this is a very critical match. If Bushi and Titan wins the match, they can proceed to the finals if they're able to hold on. But they have to go through, of course, Masushi and Yo. Personally, I was voting for them to win because I always felt that they should have been the ones to win last year, but it did not happen this way. But it was, of course, the direct drive by Yo that put away Bushi once and for all, but it did knock them out of the tournament regardless because they ended with their tournament with 8 points. As for Masushi and Yo, they finished the tournament with 8 points. So yeah, that leads to that. Now, our next match, we have TMDK consistent of Vegeta and Eagles. They take on the War Dogs. Now, much like this, the War Dogs do have 10 points at this point. If they do win, they could proceed to the finals. But, obvious question, let's tell, can TMDK knock them out? Well, I have to say they have to think a little more deeper because don't forget, uh, the the War Dogs are vicious dudes. They would do whatever it takes to win, even bring out a lot of pain and suffering no matter what it takes. But luckily for them, it was, of course, Robbie Eagles with the roll up on Maloney that put away the match and knocking them out of the tournament. And of course, Robbie had to get skedaddle out of the ring because they know the War Dogs will not be too thrilled losing this match regardless. So, however, TMDK did finish up with 8 points, just like Masushi and Yo. But the War Dogs 6-10, so they're officially out. Now, our next match, this one is another crucial one. We have Catch 2-2 with versus Jet Setters. Now, both of these teams are tied in 10, so only one of them are able to move on to the finals. If that's the case, how it runs down. But it was a pretty good determination of this match by Catch 2-2. As you know, Catch 2 would love nothing more to get a little payback against the War Dogs for what they did to them last time. If you guys remember the history, Maloney turned on the United Empire to side with Bullet Club, War Dogs, and that's how it happened. But it was the 2-2 by Catch 2 to put away Knight, and that put them in the finals. However, I know they're going to be paying attention with the main event being who's going to go to the finals. And that main event features, of course, the most hated group ever, House of Torture, Kanemaru and Sho, taking on the team that many fans are hoping to win, and that is, of course, Wato. Now, here's how this plays out. Before the winners of this match, House of Torture only had 10 points. So basically, if they win the match, that means Wato and Despy are out for knocking them out. But if Wato and Despy win, they proceed to the finals. But of course, like any other match when it comes with a House of Torture, freaking Evil and Dick Togo and Yujiro will get involved once the referee's out. Evil did the work by taking out Wato, knocking them out. However, Sho and Kanemaru don't think in the way because right now their opponents they're facing is Catch 2-2. They think Catch 2-2 will not win this one. But if I was TJP and Akira, knowing that they would do whatever it takes to win, I would say that TJP and Akira should just get members of the United Empire to give them a helping hand because we know that they will cut corners to get what they want. The one thing that Catch 2-2 needs to do right now is beat House of Torture to get revenge against the War Dogs. That's their primary goal. But of course, Sho and Kanemaru, the House of Torture, they don't give a damn. They just want the proof that they run the entire New Japan and it's their way, their law. But we'll see what happens on that day. But they think that, Catch 2 doesn't stand a chance. Well, they didn't finish the job last time, so we'll see what happens till then. Until that, we'll end things right here and move on with MLW. Okay, MLW Fusion 189. Now, as you know, is now all about who runs MLW. As you know, Bumaye Fight Club are the ones who running the show. However, the founder and manager, president, whoever of the World Titan Federation, Mr. Saint Laurent, has announced what he wants. He announced that at the next MLW show, One Shot, whoever walks out between both Alex Kane or Jacob Fatu will challenge Matt Cardona by putting the MLW World title on the line. That's what's been going on in this team. But however, we'll see, because as you know, Matt Cardona has declared himself that he is the savior. So Saint Laurent is confident enough to believe he will walk out as the winner. Now, first match we have, well, it wasn't too much of a big deal. We have Talon from The Calling taking on Mance Warner of the Second Gear Crew. Well, he took him out with a knee strike. It was the end of it. However, as you know, Mr. Saint Laurent, or as we call him, MLS, is now showering gifts to Matt Cardona in hopes that he walks away with the MLW World title at One Shot. So, yeah. Now, Alex Kane, as you know, he had his thoughts about Jacob Fatu, about claiming that, you know, that he's the past, he's the future, and all this. But however, that's when things are becoming interesting. One of members of the Bumaye Fight Club informs Alex Kane that Mr. Thomas was viciously attacked. And of course, the pinfall went to Jacob Fatu. Now, Fatu may be a big, dangerous hombre, as people would say, but that's not what really happened. And of course, later on during an interview, Jacob Fatu talked about Alex Kane. And then, of course, he did state he doesn't trust Selena, but he's willing to do the job. And there's that. However, as you know, a lot of things have been taking place in this particular show. Now, we had an interesting thing. One of the members of Bumaye Fight Club, Jay Bojan, faced a guy named Brett Ryan Gosselin. Well, you probably would have assumed that a guy from the Bumaye Fight Club will walk out as the victor. But however, Gosselin actually used the ropes to cheat his way through when he pinned Bojan just like that. However, now after the initial attack, what happened to Fatu? Apparently, Fatu was pinned for the crime. It was later shown that Saint Laurent was responsible taking him out, but it was Cardona who initially took out Mr. Thomas and pinned it on Fatu. Now, Fatu and Kane got into each other's faces, but luckily someone stepped up and told them there's evidence suggesting that it was Cardona who did that. Of course, they're not happy with this result. As you know, Cardona is now becoming a thorn into Alex Kane's side. And of course, Jacob Fatu, well, he's not going to tolerate the fact that he's being set up. So we'll see about that. Now, our main event features the MLW World Tag Team titles. The Calling, consisting of RSP and Akira. They take on the Second Gear Crew, Manders and Justice. Of course, there was going to be a lot of multiple wrestlers getting involved during a tables match. But it was, of course, Mance Warner that gave them a hand and ended in a no contest. However, they decided that at Fightland, let's take those titles up into a ladder match. So that's going to be a very interesting development. So I'm sure the Calling will accept the challenge regardless. They would try to do things their way as well. However, at the end of the show, Alex Kane was confronted by Matt Cardona. As you know, Cardona wants to see both guys face each other, but Jacob Fatu stole Cardona's brand new card that Saint Laurent gave him. So, well, this is what happens when you set him up. So, that ends it right there. So, I think that's pretty much it right now. Let's move on with Impact Wrestling. Okay, Impact Wrestling. Now, as you may have been aware, Impact Wrestling, we're currently doing a tour in the UK since the end of October. Now, today is, of course, November 3rd, so that's the reason. But they're clearly were throwing footage from one of their shows at Glasslow. This one took place on the 26th of October. Um, as you know, this is the first time they're doing a show down in we're doing a tour in the UK for nearly 8 years, and also they just announced another pay-per-view, right after Bound for Glory, Turning Point, which is going to happen, of course, tomorrow, Friday. By the time this video is already out, it should be Turning Point. So, in case anybody noticed, but let's talk about the matches that they had. They had the finals of the Gasglow Cup. It features, of course, the hometown hero Joe Hendry taking on Frankie Kazarian. Now, you know that Frank Kazarian, he has a bit of a interesting veterancy what he does. Not to mention the main weapon is the chicken wing. But however, Joe Hendry was able to overturn it by picking up a pinfall and making a good win for himself. So this was more like a home field advantage for him. So that's why he wins. Now, Myers, Moose, and Deonna Purrazzo are set to face Subculture for this match. But however, Deonna Purrazzo is saying that could be a warm-up for her, because at Turning Point, she gets another opportunity to take on Trinity for the Knockouts title. However, this is her last chance. And I'll explain to that a little bit. Now, during the tour in the UK, Joe Hendry apparently put out saying that he's being, criticized by Simon Miller, another YouTuber or something like that. But however, he wants to have a little crack at him at Turning Point. I'm sure the more will make it happen, no matter what. Now, our next match, we have Moose, Brian Myers, and Deonna Purrazzo taking on Subculture. Of course, as I said, the reason this match is a warm-up for Deonna Purrazzo, if she does not beat against Trinity at Turning Point, she will not get another opportunity as long as Trinity is still champion. So basically, she needs to sharpen and build some motivation to that. And I have to say, she did that as well. Not to mention, you do see moments where the guys and girls face off each other. But in the end, it was Moose with the spear onto Mark Andrews to pick up the win, giving Deonna Purrazzo a little bit of momentum that she needs going into Turning Point. Now, two fellow Canadians. These two guys in the past had faced off each other for a title, but now they're representing like the future and past of what TNA was all about. And not to mention, they're both Canadian. Josh Alexander and the class act maniac Eric Young. Now, our next match, we have a guy who you may have seen, Grotto, taking on Trey Miguel. You probably thought this was going to be a really fun match. I thought so too. Not to mention, there were some great moments from Grotto. But anyway, Grotto picked up a very impressive win when he applied the Wii Boot onto Trey Miguel to get a win. Now, as Bound for Glory, we did witness Will Ospreay making his appearance. Well, apparently, Will Ospreay will be heading back to Impact Wrestling for another match at Turning Point. But here's the rub. He'll be facing against Eddie Edwards. Now, here's a fun fact that no one knows about. It turns out that Eddie Edwards and Will Ospreay go way back. Will Ospreay at the past teamed up with Mark Andrews to take on the American Werewolves. As you guys know who the American Wolves are, we're talking about Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. So basically now the past. Now keep in mind, Eddie Edwards mentioned that he is the first ever American wrestler to become the first ever GHC heavyweight champion, which is the title that is the top title of Pro Wrestling Noah. And of course, we all know Will Ospreay's reputation, so that kind of sets in. So we'll see that. But Eddie Edwards made it clear to Will Ospreay that this is his house. He's the one who runs it. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, much like what we saw Deonna Purrazzo going into building up momentum before Turning Point, so does Trinity. Trinity has her own momentum to build up against Emerson Jane. Yeah, it was the same thing, but however, it was Trinity with a pinfall to pick up the win. Now, our next match, we have our main event, of course, Motor City Machine Guns versus Josh Alexander and Eric Young. What a match! I have to say it was pretty good. Not to mention, once again, the bit of the match that we saw at Bound for Glory happen. Alexander and Shelley once again, but it was a pretty good one. But however, it was the Cradle Shock by Chris Sabin to um, Eric Young that picked up the win. I have to say, seeing Impact Wrestling do UK match shows was really fun. I can't wait to see what else they're gonna do it. So don't forget that we will have Turning Point as well. I may not be able to do it on a Friday due to the circumstances, some circumstances I have, but I'll try to review it on a Saturday if it's a possibility. So we'll see what happens until then. I think that's it for now. So let's move on with our final review, Ring of Honor. Okay, our last review, Ring of Honor. It started out with tag team action. We have Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels taking on the Righteous, but Dutch and Vincent. Pretty good match. Very good opener. I mean, it's not big, but it started out pretty good. But however, this match ended in the favor of the Righteous when they applied the Ottoman Sunshine onto Christopher Daniels, giving the Righteous the win. Now, of course, the Righteous still has one thing in mind, is to obtain the Ring of Honor World Tag Team title. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, Lex Luger conducted an interview with Ethan Page. Now, keep in mind, Ethan Page is still pretty much upset the fact that his undefeated streak ended thanks to that weasel, Mark Sterling, and that musclehead, brainless moron, Tony Nese. He's still not over it, but he has to deal with Josh Wood. Now, there is a reason why, and I'll explain that why. Now, our next match, we have Robin Renegade taking on Layla Hirsch. As you know, Layla Hirsch, who is now fell out of favor from Maria because, as you know, Layla Hirsch did not heed the warning from Maria not to challenge Athena for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. Of course, she lost that match, but it appears that Maria has no interest in her. But I can tell you that this match ended strongly for Layla Hirsch when she defeated Robin Renegade with the armbar, but apparently it became a 2-on-1 scenario. However, Rachel Ellering decided to help out, give her the helping hand that she needed because there was no one there to defend her. However, Maria wasn't even there. Later on during an interview, Layla Hirsch knows that that Maria wasn't there. Even Rachel Ellering says, "Look, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm just stating the fact. You have no one right now at the moment." But Layla is believing that somehow Maria will change her mind and give her another chance. Well, we'll see about that in the future. Now, our next match, this is a bit of a revenge match because he wasn't present there. Lee Moriarty actually will get another. Well, he's basically going to be facing up against Darius Martin or so. Last time, of course, Lee Moriarty lost to him, but this time he actually gets another opportunity. But it was a pretty good match, I'm not going to lie. But however, Darius Martin picked up the good win when he applied a big frog splash just to give a pretty good win. Now, our next match, we have Josh Woods versus Ethan Page. Now, there's a significant reasons why this match has happened. As you know, Ethan Page's primary goal is not only just to put the locker room notice, but also put Eddie Kingston on notice that he'll be coming for the Ring of Honor World Championship. So, Tony Nese decided, I'm not going to let you have that. So, basically, that's what happened. But there is one thing. Josh Woods is in the same kind of way, except that he wants to challenge Katsuyori Shibata for the Pure Wrestling title. So that's why. However, of course, Nese was going to get involved. So is that Weasel, Smartware Sterling. But however, this match ended with, of course, Josh Woods picking up the win. And I'm sure Ethan Page is going to get some measure of revenge against all of them for doing. Tony Nese saying, I'm done with you. We're done. But apparently, Ethan Page is not going to let that slide. I'm sure he's going to cost them a match. That's the one thing that's going to happen. Now, our next match is a four-way, four-corner survival match. We have Slim J versus Gringo Loco versus Metallic versus Angelico. So this is going to be a very interesting match. Um, I thought it was a pretty good one. However, it was Angelico with a pinfall onto Slim J to pick up a win. I'm sure because, as you know, Angelico is supposed to face Eddie Kingston, but Stokely Hathaway suspended him. Now, let me explain what happened. Sanjay Dutt, as you know, uh, is giving his little thoughts about Eddie Kingston. He feels that Eddie Kingston is dishonorably the Ring of Honor world title, but Stokely told him that, of course, that he suspended him. But however, there's one thing that they haven't that Stokely has not, offered. When is that match between Jay Lethal and Eddie Kingston's gonna happen? So he said he's gonna work on that. So, but if I was Sanjay Dutt, I wouldn't trust Stokely Hathaway. That's what I think. Now, our next match, we have Rachel Ellering versus LMK. Of course, I can tell you this match ended with the Boss Woman Slam. LMK is not really a part of the roster, but yes, that's how it ended. Our next match, we have a four-way, four-corner tag team match. We have the Wingmen, Peter Avalon, and Ryan Meneth taking on the Infantry, Bravo, and the Captain Sean Dean versus the Iron Savages versus the Gates of Agony. Now, keep in mind, the Gates of Agony also are one of those teams that are trying to get the attention of MJF and Adam Cole for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team title. So that's always been the clear case. But how this was going to end? Well, apparently the Gates of Agony opened the gates onto Peter Avalon to pick up the win. But I'm sure that they will be keeping an eye on Full Gear when MJF defends the Ring of Honor World title tag team titles all by himself against the Ass Boys. Now our next match is a three-way match: Nick Comoroto versus Lee Johnson versus Action Andretti. I thought this match was pretty good, but however, the bigger threat in this particular match is Nick Comoroto, since he's a big person. But you probably would not imagine how this was going to end. Apparently, this match ended with Action Andretti pinning Nick Comoroto with the roll-up. However, someone was watching this match very closely, and that person was Shane Taylor. Now, is Shane Taylor trying to recruit Lee Johnson? Last time, apparently he's trying to say that he's better off joining him. But of course, that's what happened. But we don't know. We'll find out in the upcoming weeks with these guys. Next up, we have, of course, Charlotte Renegade taking on Kiera Hogan. Of course, Kiera Hogan was going to have to deal with Robin, who's in the side, but it was a pretty good pinfall with the suplex by Kiera Hogan to defeat Charlotte Renegade. So it was over right from there. Now, our next match is a an 8-man tag match. We have the Workhorsemen, Anthony Henry and JD Drake. They team up with the Baby Boys, Cole Carter and Griff Garrison. However, they take on Gravity he teams up with Dalton Castle and the Boys. I thought this was a pretty good match and also fun. The reason I say it was fun is because, as you know, Dalton Castle likes to toss the Boys. However, Gravity seems that he understands what he does. So he's been asking Dalton Castle, come on, throw me. And of course, they were about to do it, but JD Drake got into the party. But when all set was clear, Gravity wants to do it again. And of course, like Excalibur would say, gotta give the people what they want. It was great. However, it was Dalton Castle with the batarang onto JD Drake to pick up the win. So, however, I have to say that, Gravity and teaming up with Dalton Castle and the Boys was pretty fun. People say that he could honestly fit with them. Gravity doesn't have to call himself the Boys. They could call themselves the Peacocks as much as we want. But yeah, so we'll see about that. Now, our main event, we have the Ring of Honor World Women's Championship. Mercedes Martinez gets a little measure of payback against the woman who beat her for that belt, and that is Athena. Now, of course, Diamante was going to be there to ensure that this match goes in favor to Mercedes Martinez. But however, something just happened. Martinez was struck by someone in a hood, and of course, Athena applied the wing splitter onto it and picked up the win. and that person turned out to be Billy Starks, helping Athena. And I'm sure Martinez did not expect that, but I think Athena was a bit surprised to find out that everything that she tried to teach her just fell into play. So I don't know what's that going to lead us in the future, but we're definitely going to see that. We'll see what happens in the upcoming weeks between those two. But friendly reminder, those two will be at Wrestling Revolver on the 16th of November. So just letting you guys know. I think that's pretty much it right now with Ring of Honor. It's time for news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Now, if you guys remember clearly, I've been following the Yoshi group known as Evolution Girls that consisted with Chi Chi, Zones, and Sunny. Now, recently, it was announced that Sunny has been retired from pro wrestling, but she remained as a staff member to the brand itself. Reasons behind that was because apparently she got injured. It was the most difficult choice, but she decided not to be far. However, I did stated what's going to happen now, and apparently it's only with just Zone and Chi-Chi's. They cannot rely having those two. Well, they posted out on their social media, more specifically with X, or should I say slash Twitter, they're looking for new trainees, new recruits to join. So they're telling anybody in Japan, if they're interested, to go apply on their website and get training. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of them soon. I mean, I like to see more of that. On an interesting note, those who know two things about KAIRI. Well, KAIRI, as you know, her name has been popped up in the WWE internal roster. So it looks more like it's going to happen that KAIRI will be making her return to WWE soon. We just don't know when. My presumption, I thought maybe in January, but it looks more like sooner than we think. Some of you may ask, why is KAIRI going back now? Well, as you know, there is a new regime in WWE. As you know, Triple H is now in charge. KAIRI could have been women's champion in the main roster if it wasn't for Vince, but now that Triple H is the helm and Io Sky is the women's champion, well, that kind of makes her reason to go back to do it, like, how do I say, do one last run and see what happens until then. So we'll see. However, another side note with KAIRI, it was later shown that she has a certificate for someone who helps out with people with mental health. This was something that KAIRI thought about after the result of the passing of Hana Kimura. If you guys remember, Hana Kimura was pushed into suicide. KAIRI thought that maybe she could help those who are dealing with things like that, and I think that's real nice of her to do that. Now, moving on, Prestige Wrestling, as you know, I mentioned that they have their next Roseland show on in January. Well, they announced for a match, Josh Alexander takes on Timothy Thatcher, and of course, they announced Samurai Del Sol will be there as well. Very interesting match that was set by GCW for WrestleCade that takes the 8 on the 24th of this month of November. Maki Ito takes on the current NWA Women's World Champion Kenzie Page. That's gonna be one hell of a match. Now, our last update here, more updates going on with Wrestling Revolver Unreal that takes place on the 16th. The Rascals will be making their return. Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz. And of course, a match has been announced. This is the first time ever. Ray Horse versus Gringo Loco, and then finally Jake Something makes his return or debut, however it's going on with them. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it with our reviews and news updates. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have, of course, AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up. However, I did know later on we do have two wrestling shows taking place. I probably won't be doing those until Saturday. That is, of course, the next GCW Please Buddy, and of course Impact Wrestling Turning Point. So we'll see what happens until then. I haven't decided how this is going to proceed, but I'll surprise everybody until then. But also, friendly reminder, if you guys haven't checked out my podcast episode, go check them out. You can follow me on Spotify if you find me there, which is JRod. No, my bad. It's DWZ Podcast with JRod. So if you guys don't have me there, you guys should add me there as well. So just letting you guys a friendly reminder. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.